Welcome back, everybody. Wednesday morning show, final half hour. We're talking about schools, moving classes, staying put. We did that in our previous segment on the North Dakota side. On the Minnesota side, the biggest school in our coverage area for football will be moving up to the top division. The Moorhead Spuds will be playing 6A football in 2025. Athletic Director Dean Haugo joins us this morning to discuss that and a bunch of other stuff. First, I got us as you know, I live in Moorhead. That's a pretty dynamite winter sports season you just wrapped up. Girls hockey makes the state hockey tournament. You get an individual wrestling championship. Obviously, what happened with boys hockey, boys basketball makes the state tournament. I'm sure I'm missing out on something, Dean. That is quite a run, my man, over the last 5 weeks.
We had a really, really good winter season, Dom. I mean, it's obviously you mentioned some of the highlights, but across the board, our winter was really, really good. I thought all of our teams performed at a really good level, and our Nordic ski teams were exceptional. Wrestling, girls hockey, boys hockey, obviously, boys basketball. Girls basketball had a much improved season. Across the board, we just had a really good winter. No complaints.
No doubt about that. Tell me, what was an unexpected either outcome or interaction you had for the boys hockey championship? Something that happened, somebody you talked to or something happened out of it that you weren't expecting after the team won the title?
Oh man, yeah. I think it was a fascinating thing to be a part of. I think those that were around the X through the weekend kind of felt it. And I'm talking those that were outside of the Moorhead sphere. My colleagues, state high school league personnel. I think there was an incredible amount of support. A lot of people that were more vested than you would think, simply because they were aware of our history, and really felt. I think there was just a real feeling statewide, outside of Stillwater, and I'm sure some other areas too, but really a feeling of people really pulling for us to get over the hump. I felt it just in every conversation that I had. And I think part of it was, if you look at the X on Saturday night, that's the biggest crowd they've had for a championship round in a long time. And I think we had something to do with that. I also think, Stillwater not having won a state title before either. So you're going to have a new state champion one way or the other. So one team that was really fresh to the experience, and another one that was maybe if we were far from the underdog, if that makes any sense, but the team that people like. It's like if the Bills are in the Super Bowl or the Vikings, there's going to be people pulling for them just to get past that monkey on the back.
I really got that sense as well, being around as long as I have, that people were certainly pulling. You weren't an underdog; you're the number one seed, but there was a sentimental favorite to Moorhead to win that thing. And it was building, Dean, each night of the tournament.
Absolutely. We learned so much from our experience. I'd say you asked the question of any surprises or anything, Dom. I'll give you a couple of just random tidbits. One, as an AD, the state hockey tournament is a very different experience because of the ticket allocation process. And each school gets about 1,200 tickets ballpark for each session. And I think we got close to 2,000 for the championship. So quarters, semis, about 1,200. Traditionally, we haven't sold out our allotment. When you go to the state tournament regularly, like we do, you're a long ways away from the XL. I think our community was in a wait and see approach. So even this year, with coming in as the one seed, we did not sell out our allotment on day one.
No kidding.
No,
I did not know that.
But that's pretty standard for us. We sold more than we usually do, but we didn't sell our allotment. And then what that created on our side of it is probably a little bit of complacency. We got smoked on the ticket side of things on Friday, Saturday. Absolutely. If you could grade out the AD's performance on ticket distribution to the Moorhead folks, it was a flat F for Friday, Saturday. We had, in what it is, it's a code-based system. And somehow our code, and Stillwater had the same problem on Saturday nights. There's definitely some work to be done across the board with how we all do this. But by the time our parents had the code on Saturday, it was running rampant through our community and other communities for that matter. So I was caught off guard. Our community, what I would say is our hockey community after round one was incredibly activated, more so than I'd ever seen in my time in Moorhead. So that was really unique. The last small, maybe laughable tidbit is, we after the championship game, my wife and I we actually walked with Coach Kraft over to from the arena to the X, and to be able to walk with Ryan at that moment as a proud dad of the way Mason had played, but also one of our head coaches, it was just really fun to do that. And I mentioned that we walked to the Drury and we get there, and in the next 2 hour span, I'd never been hugged that much by 50-plus-year-old men in my life. Just, it was pure joy,
Well,
honestly. That's the only way I
yeah.
could put it. For everybody involved, and it's no different. I mean, when your teams are successful, you celebrate, and that's how it
Yeah.
is. And celebrate in terms of a lot of high fives and a lot of, but this is a really collective effort. Our youth hockey organization, I think, if people don't realize how good they are and the work that they do to develop players, it's really remarkable. But I would say there was also just a significant number of guys and folks and people that have been involved with Moorhead hockey since, back to the 60s and 70s, that had waited for that moment. And it was just a very joyous celebration. So it was super fun.
The favorite part for me, and I said it on Monday on the show, was Larry Knutson getting the trophy, and the reaction to Larry was just awesome. It was the best part of the whole thing.
Yeah, it was. And for somebody like Larry to have been involved and to have called as many games as Larry has called, and to finally be able to call that kind of a game in that situation was really remarkable. But, I think about it too, though, Dom. I was talking to, I don't remember what my platform was, but, it was actually at a Classic Concordia yesterday. I was talking about the last like 4 to 5 seconds of the game. And we're all tortured Minnesota fans. And watching the clock run out that was something I'll never forget, because as just a diehard Minnesota Viking, Minnesota fan, you just expect the worst to happen at that moment. Like, somehow this is, and not that I didn't trust our team, but you've been beaten down so many times. To see the clock run out and know that we had achieved what we had achieved was a really great feeling.
Well, I wanted to have you on today because I don't know if Tay slipped out of the bag when I had him on Monday that Minnesota, you guys are going to be moving up to the top class of high school football. Give us the lowdown on Moorhead and playing in 6A football in 2025.
Great question, Dom, and I appreciate you having me on with regards to this topic. We have known, and obviously your wife teaches in our school district. Our growth has been exponential, and we've worked really, really hard over the years to embrace our growth. I would just say it that way. You can either run and hide from it and not deal with it. And trust me, there's schools that really fight hard against growth, and we are not one of them. When we chose to be a one high school community, we knew that some of the things we had to do is we had to continue to add activities, and kind of following into the football conversation. We had to continue, and we've added many activities. When you look at our adaptive offerings with floor hockey, bowling, Nordic skiing, lacrosse. We've always taken an approach that we're not going to run away from what we are. And it's no different in this case. The State High School League did not place us in 6A. Our enrollment put us in 6A. And we will embrace it. I think we're going into it. We were 3 kids away on the last cycle. Rochester Mayo was the last school in the last 2-year cycle. So we knew that we're 3 kids away the last go around. And during the last 2-year cycle, we were in the state girls hockey tournament at the time this was all kind of being communicated.
Yeah.
I think we were in 6A and out of 6A 4 different times in a 3-day span at the state hockey tournament, depending on who I talked to. And that was 2 years ago. So we knew with bigger classes coming in, this was coming. And so we've tried to brace everybody and make sure that everybody understood that this is what we are and who we are. There was certainly, not everybody gets as excited, or it gets excited about it, and there's apprehension, there's nerves, there's all of this kind of stuff, and I understand all of that. But at the end of the day, we went from, when you look at the State High School League enrollment figures, and again, this takes into account free and reduced, meal benefit situations. We went from the 33rd biggest school on the State High School League data side enrollment-wise to the 23rd. We didn't make a 2-person jump or 2-school jump. We made a 10-school jump.
Man.
So I was in Austin in December for our National AD conference, and we do a lot of talking about classifications in football specifically, because it's such a it's kind of a unique deal with the district scheduling model. And at that point, I'd had some conversations with the high school league folks, and I knew that for us, this was the reality. They had the numbers, and they were pretty aware. And not only they have the numbers, like there's a point in in any classification cycle, if you are bottom 10% of the enrollment in that classification, and or your free and reduced population is over 50%, you have the ability to appeal and move down. And there are some schools that did that. We were not even in the ballpark of having that kind of an option. We knew that, and we're comfortable with it. We're comfortable in our skin and what this is going to look like.
So what does this mean then for opponents or for Spud fans? Do they expect Eden Prairie, Wayzata to be playing at Jim Goda Stadium this coming fall?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, it's one thing. All right. So we get into it. We're into 6A. We know that this is going to change who we play. Brainerd took an approach. They took an approach 6 years ago whenever they went to 6A for a 2-year cycle. Okay. So just giving a little context, they chose I don't remember how it all played out, but Brainerd ended up playing their usual 5A schedule.
Yeah,
Problem was, they had a
that.
great team.
Yeah.
They ended up the 8th seed in their quadrant. They go to Stillwater, lead at halftime, and end up losing in a really tight game. Reality is one of the things we have discussed is we don't want to be in that position. We've got a good squad. Schedule-wise, we're going to play a 6A schedule. Is there a chance that we could play a 5A team, maybe potentially like a rivalry type team? There is a chance, but that requires a lot of dominoes to fall into place that other schools would have to agree to. So I would say that right now, here's what we know. We know that we are the furthest north and the furthest west school. And we don't have anybody close to us.
No doubt about that.
This isn't, honestly, Dom, this isn't the only activity where we play
Correct. Right.
Metro schedule. Yep. All right. Look at 2 other sports that we play a schedule that will look very similar. Okay. We play a very similar schedule in lacrosse.
Lacrosse and hockey came to mind, right to mind for me. Yeah.
But also, okay, I'm going to throw one at you here, Dom, our floor hockey schedule.
Yeah.
Closest team we have to us is St. Cloud. So we do have some common threads with some of our activities.
I'd say speech as well, right? I mean, speech, you have nobody around either, correct? You're in the cities all the time.
Around, but we trek to the cities just to make sure we're getting our team challenged plenty. But yeah, we do have plenty of teams that compete pretty heavily in the Twin Cities.
Right.
Now football will jump into that fray. It'll change our travel a little bit, but I think it's important for people to remember that when we go to Brainerd, it's 2 hours and 10 minutes, and when we go to St. Michael, it's 2 hours and 45. Like I said, we'll either be in the north cluster, and the north will be, if we end up getting, if the map lines up, depending on how the map goes, if we're in the north, it's going to be primarily your Anoka Blaine schools, so Anoka Blaine, Coon Rapids, Champlin. If we're in the west, then we would be more with the, St. Michael's, Maple Grove, Eden Prairie, Edina, that crew.
Let's go.
Here's what I'll tell anybody. I mean, if we're going to hit this thing in any 2-year cycle in my 13 years, we got a pretty good 2-year cycle coming.
Yep. That's exactly right.
And like I said right at the outset, you can either embrace it or you can run from it. I think our kids, from everything I can tell, we're ready to take on 6A in the very best way we possibly can.
I'm out of time, of course, because you have to have you come in next time because we've had a couple years of Minnesota basketball shot clock, because we could do 2 hours on that. I know we can. So next time, okay?
Dom, next time. Hey, I'll just say, hasn't had an impact one way or the other. It's all good.
Thanks for the time, bud. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Dom.
Dean Haugo joining us, Moorhead Athletic Director. So there you have it. Spuds be playing some heavy hitters. We're going to have Kevin Feeney join us on the show Friday to give us more of the lowdown, because I believe that's when it become official, and then we'll know who Moorhead is going to be playing. So I mean, we're talking the top of the top in high school football coming this way this fall. Pretty cool. We'll take our final break. We come back. Got a few emails to get to. We'll wrap things up, get you ready for, we got a pretty good Sports Wednesday on tap. It might stink outside, but we got plenty going on. We'll do that when Hot Mike wraps after this.